I kind of had discovered a love for the underground rave scene in '99, and basically my degree almost went out of the window because I was just like, you know what, coding's boring. I want to throw gigs and I want to throw parties. Gig culture and gig psychology is pretty much uniform in most areas of the world. You have to coordinate 65 artists, flights, hotels, transfers, flight route, like the routing, riders coming in, and you might be try getting a niche piece of equipment in Bali or in Tulum. If you want money, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for money. The moment you start a conversation with money, people tell you how to run your business.
My guest today is the CEO and founder of Ticket Ferry, Ritesh Patel. Ticket Ferry is a platform designed to help promoters market and manage events. It's unique in that it optimizes attendance through word-of-mouth marketing with a referral system that gives fans a rebate or free ticket if they get enough friends to buy. Ritesh's experience as a promoter of over 400 shows around the world and previous jobs as a cloud and systems administrator helped form his vision for the platform. As a result, an impressive array of investors have come on board, including the founders of YouTube, Twitch, Reddit, and others. Besides running the Ticket Ferry, Ritesh is also the director of LOCUS, a music series in Tulum, Bali, Bristol, and Sydney featuring internationally acclaimed producers, DJs, and bands. During the interview, we talked about festival promotion and unique venues, cultural differences in gig marketing, addressing the secondary ticket market, the future of event technology, and much more. I spoke with Ritesh from his office in London. Tell me about Ticket Ferry. What should I know about it that makes it different? That made it worthwhile for you to actually create?
It comes from a position of pain, if that's a good way to start. I spent a really long time both being an event promoter and building tech for other people. And I kind of experimented with building software when I was a teenager, but I kind of had discovered a love for the underground rave scene in '99, and basically my degree almost went out of the window because I was just like, you know what, coding's boring. I want to throw gigs and I want to throw parties, and
I love it.
It kind of I flipped all my waking hours, and I'd be out till 5 a.m, standing outside clubs, giving out flyers, trying to promote the gigs. Wake up at 5 p.m. Oh, I've missed a whole day of classes. Never mind, and then and then repeat. And kind of that turned. It started as like house parties and private gigs, and then turned into like actually hiring a venue, calling up agencies, booking talent, and I was 19 when that first happened. And it was kind of like, when like something just blows you away and you discover this whole culture that you've never really been part of. And it was like, within 9 months of going to my first, it was in the underground drum and bass scene, like on the electronic side in the UK. First gig I went to blew me away. 9 months later, I'm throwing my own. And being the nerd I was, I decided to live stream the gig over dial-up 25 years ago.
Wow.
To try and like get it to a broader audience. Not that anyone was going to come, but it was like, how can I leverage technology? This was pre-cloud. I actually had to convince someone to lend me the physical server in their data center and use it, and put my computer in the back of a car because you didn't have laptops back then, and run the audio cable from the stage back to the back room of the venue, and like all like very much DIY, right?
Yeah.
There were no stream hosting websites. I had to get someone to install the streaming software on the server and do the uplink manually, and then promote the show in chat rooms and newsgroups.
That sounds so painful.
But for me, it was really fun. The pain comes in when you realize that the consistency of actually breaking even on a show is non-existent, right? It's like you, as a promoter, your job is to fill the room and expose talent that hasn't been exposed before. And they don't typically go hand in hand, because if you're breaking someone new, you've discovered them because you're really nerding out on all the new music that's being released, or you've gone to see a gig in some underground room and you've like, okay, I want to bring this person, but that doesn't really translate to general public, right? So it can be up and down. Like sometimes you have to book bigger acts and the supports are actually the ones that you really want to expose. And we all know that game, but I don't know, 400, I ended up producing like 400 and something gigs over like almost 10 years. And I was like, this sucks when it goes badly, but it's so good when it goes well that the dopamine rush you get and the exhilaration of a full room, it just having the time of their lives is worth that pain financially. And so I'm willing to lose the money. I'm willing to subsidize the gigs through day job. And it just went on like that for a really long time. And I moved to Australia from the UK, and similar thing. Like we started picking up international tours that were coming in from Europe and the US and doing the same. And you kind of realize that like everyone is having this issue. Like it's so hard to do. And your gig that's going to be a guaranteed sellout suddenly isn't because it rained. And, you know, now you've lost a ton of money. And so like, you know, they say like the only constant in life is change. The only constant in promoting is unpredictability. and so like this started like 99, 2000, 2008 or 9. I'm living in Australia, working for an ad tech company, building their back-end systems, really understanding how like online advertising and conversion tracking works, and how e-commerce works, and you know, like the whole like the way the internet is built in terms of how commerce works in everything outside of events. And had this random brainwave where I was like, well, wait a second. You could apply ad tech to events. Why isn't there a way for the promoter to have that tech? And the idea that came into my head was like, I think being a coder, I was like, if you took ticketing and then sold someone the ticket, and then immediately said to them, hey, do you want your money back? You just paid for this show because you want to see the band or this DJ, but wouldn't it be great if you got your money back? And if you can just like bring more people into the gig, we can track it as the platform and we'll refund your money. Hence Ticket Fairy, because it gives you money.
Yeah.
And it's a really simple concept, but like this was a 2009 revelation and no one had done it within events.
Okay, when you say that, refund your money, are you talking about getting it faster as a promoter? No.
I mean, like I pay $50 for a ticket because I'm a fan through Ticket Fairy, and the event has to be my client, right? The event or the venues has to be using the platform. And then once I finish paying my $50, the confirmation says to me, well, if you can help promote the event and bring more people to that gig, which you want to do anyway because you want to go with a group.
Yeah.
And you've already committed to the show because you like the band or the DJ or the experience or the festival, whatever it is, then the system can track it in a way where you start getting money refunded back to your card into your bank account as real cash.
Wow.
And for the promoter, they want an army of people spreading the word, right?
Yeah.
Because the best way to promote a gig is actually word of mouth, not ads and not anything.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, well, why don't I use this ad tech knowledge? And like the fact that like throwing so many gigs has made me realize that every promoter has this problem. And there does not exist a reliable marrying up of marketing tech online and events.
Now, you would think with some of the big ticketers, the big promoters, that they would have this pretty much together.
You would think so, but everyone I showed it to was like, oh man, I've tried to do this manually. Oh, you know, this is just like bring 10 friends to the door of a gig and come in free, or like, you know, have a guest list or whatever it is. Conceptually, like, you know, that's how you promote a show, right? But like, and they, at the time, there were ambassador platforms that would allow you to build an online street team, but they didn't have the integrations into the ticketing. They didn't control the payments. And to be able to refund money back to someone's card, you also have to control the payment.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all manual. It was like stitching together different things that kind of worked, but they didn't really. And like, if you're building an online street team, they're just spamming a gig. And it was kind of like, well, this is dumb. Like you need to have someone who's voluntarily paid for a show because they love it. and they're the best ambassador possible. And the promoter's like trying to find all these channels to get in front of the right eyeballs. And why wouldn't you just match the two? But it has to be in one system.
So the first thought that comes to my mind is, what do you do about the secondary ticket market?
So a few years into doing this, it was kind of like, all right, well, the secondary ticket market is a real problem. Sometimes it's facilitated fraud or scalping because, like, you know, the promoter's doing it, or, you know, like some company has made it a business to scoop up all the tickets and sell them on secondary markets, right? And ultimately, the fans are losing out. The artists are not getting that revenue. The promoter is definitely not getting that revenue. And we worked with a really early client who was starting to sell out really, really early, and they were having issues. And so I flew to see them. It's a boutique festival that happens in Sardinia in Italy. So I flew to see them, and I was like, okay, you have an issue with potentially an upcoming issue with secondary market and resales. Why don't we spec this together? And the way we kind of spec'd it was, and we'd already built the system where you had to name every ticket. I'd already done that like way before. So every ticket already had names attached to them, not just the name of the buyer, but each individual one. But then we started thinking about how that works in terms of secondary. Like already, if you name tickets, that discourages scalpers, right? Because like they can't buy 1,000 up in bulk because you have to assign the names. But then it's like, well, if you make it that strict, you also need to make it easy to transfer. So we built this method where you could actually go into your account, and if you had, say, 5 tickets in your account for that gig, each one of them had a sell button next to it. And even though the ticket's named, I could then say, hey, you know what? My friend can't buy or can't go. Bobby needs a ticket. So I click sell, and it actually allows me to send an invitation to you to take that ticket off my hands. But then we also built a waiting list. So when that festival that I flew to see sold out, the ticket page would collect email addresses of everyone who missed out. And so
very clever.
We created this like matching thing where I was like, okay. And then the last piece of this is, if you really care about scalping, when someone arrives at the door, you'll make sure their ID matches the name on the ticket. So the festival was like, we're going to enforce that. So if they show the ticket and they don't show a matching ID, then they don't get the wristband.
Wow. Yeah.
And so then now you've got like legitimate transfer at face value only. I can sell it to you. You then pay on the website. As soon as your payment clears, me as a seller, I get an email from the system saying that my ticket's been sold, that I've got an automated refund back to my card, and my QR code is canceled and I can't use it anymore. So I, like, you know how you normally like sell a ticket and then you don't know if the person you bought it from is just going to show up at the door and use it before you.
Yeah.
So this actually like automatically cancels the original barcode, and you would get, as Bobby, a fresh ticket in your name with a barcode or your QR code in your account that I, as the original seller, no longer don't have access to. So it's super clean, really safe. No way to defraud someone. You're actually buying from the original primary platform. Then we built logic so that if I was selling an early bird ticket back into the system, then I could sell it to someone on the waiting list at final price. And so that revenue spread would actually go to the event organizer, who desperately needs to have as much revenue as possible to even break even. The cleanliness of it and the safety is, you know, you can't get around it, right? Like, it's like, you can't sell above face value. You can't defraud someone. There's no, like, I send you a bank transfer and suddenly, and I never receive the ticket. There's no, the original owner uses the barcode before me when they arrive at the venue. And then when you have shows with tiered pricing, say it's a festival or something, and they have early birds and, you know, first release and whatever, then if I buy an early bird ticket super early and I can't go, and I offer it to the wait list rather than someone specific, whoever's on the wait list is as likely adding themselves when it's sold out and it was at final price. So the waitlist person is just happy to get a face value ticket at final release without it being a fake ticket, which is awesome. I get my early bird ticket refunded, so I claim back the money I spent, and I no longer have a risk. I bought a ticket without any risk. I can get my money back. But that spread of, like, you know, let's have like a concrete example. I buy a ticket for $50. Final release is $100. I get my $50 refunded. You pay $100 as final release on the wait list. Now you've just given the promoter an extra $50 in revenue. And if you do that multiple times, that's enough to take them from a loss-making gig into profit.
Yeah. No, it's a great idea. We're talking about electronic tickets, not physical, right?
Right. And I think we were fairly early with electronic. I mean, these days, like paper is much less common, but there are ways to, I mean, you can't resell paper safely, but it's all the paper tickets are still tracked in the same way electronically. So even if it's analytics you want as the promoter, you still get that.
How about point of purchase? So the gig isn't sold out, and people now come. Sometimes they come, early in the day to get it, or sometimes, it's 3 days in advance. They know, and they're near the ticket office. Can they do that?
They can. And the other nice thing is that like you could be standing in line outside that box office and be on the wait list, and the gig's already happened. Like the gig started, for example, and you're an hour in and someone's stuck at a dinner or something, and they're like, oh man, like I'm actually going to miss the show. I can't get there in time. Even during the gig, they could push it into the into the resale, and me standing outside would get a notification saying it's available, and I could be standing outside, grab it, buy it, and then walk in.
That is awesome. Very cool.
So that's the kind of like the short-ish story of how we got started.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of evolved into loads of tools to help bring in revenue and like optimize campaigns and run guest lists and all the kind of like operational stuff that you need.
One of the things that I was struck with when I was looking at your website was the fact that you have a pretty good presence in many parts of the world, not just the United States. So I saw, for instance, where is it? Australia and Malaysia, I think, right? Is another one.
Yeah, there's Indonesia, there's India, Australia, New Zealand. We do a lot in Mexico, US, a little bit of Canada. We're a bit weird. Like we just decided, let's just like see how each market responds to the product and not even think about like whether we've got a team on the ground before we figure out if we need a team on the ground. Right. Sometimes you can hire prematurely, you can optimize prematurely. It's like, well, wait, does this market even like the product? And how do we figure that out? And then like, decide to put some resources into it.
Let's go to a different point here for a second. So I saw that you're a promoter for the LOCUS Festival that has some very interesting venues. I mean, Tulum and Bali.
Yeah. So the festival the LOCUS Festival. It's actually the brand that I started in '99 when I was at college, and then took 10 years off when starting Ticket Ferry. And then I moved to Mexico during COVID, and we launched Ticket Ferry as a platform in Mexico. And then I was like, wait a second, there's no destination electronic bass music festival in the Americas. And I've been to plenty in Europe, but like there isn't one in the Americas. And here are these like incredible venues that are on the beach in Tulum. And like this music is typically in dirty warehouses or underground clubs. And it's quite, it's like, there are a few of those beach festivals in Europe, but like nothing exists like this in anywhere near the US or even South America. And so I spent a year begging one of our first venue clients in Tulum, going, there's this genre of music you've never heard of. It comes from the UK, and there's a big opportunity, and then managed to convince them to do it. And then I had to speak to like 65 artists and agents, going, hey guys, would you be willing to fly 10 hours from the UK to Mexico? When we're like, like a lot of people have never been to Mexico. They think it's super dangerous and they think they're going to get killed or whatever, right? You've known me for 25 years. Are you willing to get on a plane for me? I'm living here. It's safe. Will you come over? And the other twist is that you're not going to get a tour out of it. You're going to have to come for one show, and you're going to have to play for club show prices, not festival prices. And like, in theory, every artist should have said, no way, like there's no way I'm doing that. But everyone said yes. And it was a really, and it was like just due to the relationship that I built over the years with those artists. And they all came over, and we did like beach clubs, rave in the jungle, a cenote where you could actually swim while listening to the DJs. And then I kind of got the opportunity to do it in Bali. And in Bali, it's at a city that's been built by a billionaire Burning Man fan.
Wow. Okay.
Which doesn't sound anywhere near normal. He basically put $100 million into building this like 44-hectare city. They'll build 9 venues, luxury beach club, like statue art from Daniel Popper, a school, luxury hotels and retail, and it's just this insane space.
Wow. I had no idea there was something like that there.
Yeah. So like our venue for the festival, and it's like a super underground gig, so musically, but the venue for the festival has 2 pools, a water slide that goes into the pool room. If you're in the DJ booth in the pool, on the pool stage, you're looking at a swimming pool full of people listening to your music. And then if you look further, there's the ocean. So it's like pool, booth, pool, ocean is your view as you're playing.
Yeah, it's not too shabby.
No, it's really cool.
One of the things about Tulum is it's such a unique venue that I think anyone that was invited to go there would say yes, because again, it's like nowhere else. So
yeah, and the Bali venue is insane because even that is this like fully landscape beach club. There's this huge statue that the main stage booth is in, and like it's like and it's a venue with like 5-star hotel toilets. So people come to the festival and they're like, these are the best toilets I've ever been to in my life at a gig. And they're immaculate. And there's like a gourmet restaurant on site. There's a smokehouse and a beer garden in the same venue. And all of that is like the festival takes over the whole thing.
Wow. That's awesome. That is very cool. I've been all over the world, and the one place I haven't been is to Bali. And one of the reasons lately is the fact that it's getting a lot of negative reviews because of being commercialized and dirty and, politically kind of weird. But you're making me rethink it.
I think that it's one of those things like the victim of its own success also applies to somewhere like Tulum, right? It's like, when there is a wave of popularity of a place, it's the infrastructure just does not keep up.
Yeah, right.
I think that is like one of those things where they're really working on that. They're building a new metro system. I think that like the last few years, a lot of the main strips, they didn't even have sidewalks and they've had to build those. Right. So like that stuff does take time. They've had to build more sewerage and more drainage. That aside though, like the place is magical. Like it's really, really cool. And I think that if the tourists and expats they are typically respectful, right? Like they're not throwing trash on the streets. Like they are definitely respectful. And you just have to be a little bit more sensitive to like the culture, the culture. Bali's been a tourist destination for Australians for like 15, 20 years, but it's only really the rest of the world that's discovered it in the last 5.
Yeah. Yeah. What have you noticed that's different? Just putting your promoter hat on for a second, between different countries. If you're going to promote a gig in different countries, what's different to you? What is something that you might not, you might find easier or more difficult?
You know what? Like I've been very fortunate. I've been to gigs all over the world, right? And some of them are very underground, some of them are very commercial, and they range in sizes. And I found that, say, US festival culture is very different to UK festival culture. Like UK festival culture is much less top 40 acts. Like it's much more varied. There's a lot more breadth in the music. Whereas and you can sell out a festival with kind of quirky talent. Much harder to do in the US. I found that nightclub wise, table service culture and bottle service is way more prevalent in the US and Mexico than it is in, say, Australia and the UK. So culturally, there are a lot of differences. No, and just you have to really figure out is this product I've tried it. I've pushed out in one region, actually going to work in another region.
Yeah, I would think, and also I would think the way you market in different localities would be different as well.
That's not that different.
Really?
Yeah, that's really not that different. I mean, I think that the formula is pretty standard when it comes to gigs and festivals across all regions now.
Interesting.
Yeah, and even with Ticket Ferry, like that whole like earn your money back by sharing, the metrics are the same in terms of like adoption and ROI in every region that we've tried it in.
And that surprises me as well, because I would have thought that some localities would be more into that than others.
It's really weird. Like the gig culture and gig psychology is pretty much uniform in most areas of the world. So like that whole like, buy a ticket and then get other people to go. We get 30% of ticket buyers sharing after they buy. And that's really great for me to be able to say that, because that's a lot. But it's the same in the US, it's the same in Mexico, it's the same in India, it's the same in Australia. It's the same share rate everywhere. And typically it brings in another 20% in sales. Same everywhere. University, like college students and young people share it because they don't have very much cash. Rich people who are buying expensive tickets share it because they want to seem cool to their peers. They don't care about the money. They just want to seem cool. And then families, the mom in the family shares it to save cash on family expenses so it can go back into household expenses, and shares a gig with other families.
I think you just answered my next question, which is demographics. That I think gig culture in general skews young, except if you have iconic, legendary acts. It's kind of different. But and I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong here. But it seems to me that it skews kind of young, and as a result, your method would actually work better. Because when you're younger and you're in school, you have a lot of people that you're in contact with. As compared to when you get older, there's much fewer that you're in contact with. And your friend list decreases somewhat.
You're right. So if you'd said that 10 or 15 years ago, I would have said yes. I think these days, like, especially, I guess millennials, they didn't grow up. So right now, there's a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds at Burning Man raving and have the time of their lives, apart from like, whatever sandstorms are coming in. But there is definitely a Peter Pan syndrome of an entire generation where they're still going out all night until 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and they're in their 40s.
I think we're seeing some of that on the Oasis tour that's happening as well, where, much from what I've been hearing, I haven't seen it myself, but what I've been hearing, it's the same type of feel.
Yeah. We've done a lot of stuff in New Zealand as far as Ticket Ferry goes, right? And that country is very interesting, and actually also kind of is a counterexample to gig culture being young. So in somewhere like New Zealand, the entire country is so obsessed with music that they go to gigs into their 50s, big festivals.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Ritesh, what don't people know about you that you wish they did?
I mean, there's a fairly like transparent conversation just now about the kind of things that that randomly I've managed to get myself into. I guess like more about the company. Like there's a lot of people that might not have heard about the company, but we have been very lucky to get backing from some of the people that built the early internet. So like the creator of YouTube is an investor, the CEO of Reddit is an investor, and a bunch of people that like really built the core of social. And so like, I'm really lucky that we have that mentorship, and also like say the festival, it seems like, I got back into promoting because it's fun. Well, it's not, it's not fun. Promoting is not fun.
Yeah.
Until the gig actually happens. And even then you don't have fun until the last hour of the gig, right?
Yeah.
As the promoter. But what it's done is like given me a really interesting insight into the big scale of event production, especially destination gigs where like you have to coordinate 65 artists, flights, hotels, transfers, flight route, like the routing, riders coming in, and you might be in try getting a niche piece of equipment in Bali or in Tulum, and the tech rider has that in there. It's provided a lot of learnings in terms of like just how manual all of that process is. So there's actually been quite a lot of inspiration from that over the last few years into like what we're going to build into Ticket Ferry. So I think we're going to surprise a lot of people with what comes next in terms of like time saving, labor saving, and just like being able to concentrate more on the creative aspects of actually production.
You're talking about promoter tools,
leveraging AI, really thinking about like what have we done manually over the years that we had to, and can you give a promoter that's only got 2 people in their full-time team the same abilities as a big promoter that's got 50 people full-time?
Very cool.
That's very exciting.
All right, last question, Ritesh. Thank you for your time. I appreciate this. This has been fascinating. I'm sure you have good insight into this because of the road you've traveled. But what's the best, and the advisors you have, what's the best piece of advice that maybe you received or maybe you learned yourself along the way?
I've got a really good one.
Yeah, go for it.
If you want money, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for money.
Ooh, I've never heard that before, but it makes perfect sense. Wow.
The moment you start a conversation with money, people tell you how to run your business. But if you are actually respectful and ask someone their insights on how to do things, and you unravel like where bottlenecks are and where challenges are, typically they'll go, you know what, you seem like you know what you're doing. All you really need is cash to solve this. All right, I can probably put some money in. And that's how we got our first investor. He's the creator of Twitch streaming platform.
Wow. It sounds like you have an all-star list of investors.
We got the guy who was head of AI at Apple. We have the chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation, the guy who built the data science team at Uber. Like we've got some really great people that have just, believed in the company and backed it.
Well, I would say good luck, but I don't think you need it from me.
Everyone needs luck. Or do you make your own?
Yeah, well, yeah, combination probably, I'm sure. Thanks for listening and being in my inner circle. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, you can send them to questions@bobbyowsinski.com. You can also learn all about the latest in music, audio, and production news, and find out about openings for my latest online classes at bobbyowsinski.com. This is Bobby Owsinski. I will see you next time.